Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is Tom Aiken from BoomShare, and welcome to episode number 17, where we like to share stories about folks who are doing great things. Today, we have Building Blocks for Community Enrichment, which is a nonprofit agency that contracts with the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services to provide training, licensing, and supportive services to foster parents. Today, we have Jackie Meyer, who is the founder and CEO, to share about what has brought her to this kind of work and what services they offer, and how the community can help support the mission. So with that, Jackie, just to introduce you, I'd love to hear your story and tell us about what you do and the values that got you started.
I guess I'd like to start with, I've been involved with foster care for 60 years, Tom. I grew up on a little dairy farm in northern Wisconsin, and it was an awesome farm. I loved that farm. And one day my mom came in from milking cows, and she and my dad were doing all of the work on that farm by themselves because my brother was already gone to college, and all they had was this 10-year-old little girl. And in their mind, I probably was worthless as far as farm work. And so she came in and she says, Jackie, we're going to have to sell this farm. And I said, oh no. And I ran upstairs, sat in my bed with tears running down my face. And I said, God, send me a brother. Now, in my mind, if I had a brother, that brother could help on the farm and we wouldn't sell the farm. But the chances of my getting a brother, Tom, were pretty much zero. But in my 10-year-old mind, I was getting a brother. So I dried up my tears and walked to school, and school was great. When I came home from school that day, walking home through the orchard and past the smokehouse and the woodshed, and there was a car parked in our yard. True story. I walked in the house, and there was my mom and dad sitting at the table with a guy from Health and Human Services. True story. That very day. And they had a 16-year-old boy and a 9-year-old boy. So I got two.
Huh.
Now, needless to say, we didn't sell the farm, and my folks got the help. But a lot of people say, so your folks use those kids to save the farm. Yeah, maybe, but really not. They moved to Montana, and within 6 months, actually, after Butch left for Montana, he was back at our house. He hitchhiked from Montana to Wisconsin. And I remember the day he came. He came back and he said, and my folks looked at him and they said, Butch, you know where your room is. And this is a true story. So we continued to have foster kids. I grew up with them. We showed cattle together and we were a family. But then I got married, and then I had foster kids in our house. We took care of them. And then I went back to college and got my degree in counseling. And so I did therapy with them. And I had a kid on my caseload. I was doing home base. I live in O'Neill, and I was doing home base in Loop City. And there was a family there with a child who had been moved 27 times.
Wow.
Tom, can you imagine getting up in the morning and saying to yourself, okay, Tom, is this the day you're going to move?
I can't imagine.
You can't even imagine now. Well, these kids live with us. And so I had 90 miles home, and I think I cried the entire way home. I said, okay, Jack, you're going to have to form an agency where kids don't move. Now, I'm not very good at detail, like making policies and procedures and things like this. So once again, God had to intervene and bring me people into my life that could do those things. And so today, yes, we got licensed and contracted in, I think, 99 or 2000, something like that. And today we cover 42 counties with 19 workers, 120 kids placed. And I have to give credit to God and all of the workers that he sent to me to make this happen, because it certainly wasn't me.
So in the last 15 years, you've placed over 120 kids?
Right now, we have 120 kids placed.
Oh,
right now.
Right now.
It varies by day. In other words, kids go home or kids are adopted, and then we get new kids or new foster homes. So it's always between 110 and 120 kids average right now, with 89, I was looking at those statistics, 89 licensed homes and about 40 approved homes, and in those 42 counties.
In the state of Nebraska?
In the state of Nebraska, yes.
Well, that's really amazing. I can't even imagine the impact that this organization has had on kids and even the families that that have been a part of this.
Absolutely. There's so many stories. We have a Christmas party every year, and this is just part of us because we want to support our families. And so we have a Christmas party with 300 people, kids and families. It's awesome. And we always have Santa Claus come. And Santa Claus asks these little people, what would you like for Christmas? And the little boy says, I want a mom and dad. They want permanency. They don't want to have to be moved. They want a mom and dad. So as we give, Tom, as we give our foster parents the help that they need, because they can change an IQ of 20 points. A kid in a home, if the parent is calming that child and making them feel safe, that IQ is going to grow because these kids are afraid. Can you imagine what it's like and what that moving is doing to their brain? Much less the bad stuff that happened to them before they went into foster care. Just the moving is going to make a huge difference in that child.
Oh, I can imagine. And, it allows them to focus less on, let's say, survival and how they just are going to survive the different changes in their home environments. So constantly to being able to focus on learning and the things that are going to add value to their lives.
Oh, yeah. And what happens is these kids go to school and teachers don't understand. It's not their fault. But they're always wondering, okay, I wonder if I get home tonight, is there going to be a worker there taking me to the next home? I had a kid on my caseload one time. They were going to take guardianship the next day. And I saw him and I said, he says, I'm moving tomorrow. I said, you're getting guardian tomorrow. That means you're staying here forever. Nope, I'm moving. And that's the kind of thing that the foster parents have to be able to help them see. Now, I love you enough. You're going to stay here no matter what. Now, I must admit there are times when kids do have to move because their trauma is too serious, and we have to put them in a higher level of care or into a home that may be better for them. It's not 100%, but for the most part, we are able to keep these kids where they can be feeling safe and stay in that home. And the foster parents feel safe. They feel like they're making a difference. And that's the whole thing about building blocks is a feeling of safety, not just for our foster kids, but for our foster parents and staff. Because can you imagine living and hearing those stories day after day, what that could do to them? And so we're constantly helping our staff feel good about what they do, giving them more training so that they can train the foster parents. It's really, really an exciting mission in life to see what's happening in northern Nebraska.
It's interesting because, if I'm hearing you right, it sounds like there's three groups here. There's the children, there's the parents, and then there's your staff. And
right.
And the interesting thing, at least how I'm hearing it, is none of them can exist without the other.
Right.
And that's kind of neat. So you created a system that was out of three systems that were somewhat incomplete through.
I guess, yeah, because we have to train our staff. We hire our staff, and we want staff that are caring about kids, that it's not just a job, it's a mission, that they really want to make a difference. And then when we recruit our foster parents, we do the same. You're going to make a difference in these kids' lives. This is not just about making money, which is a joke, by the way. You don't make money being a foster parent. And then we have these kids who don't have a clue of what's happening to them. And yet, as they come together, we have a feeling of safety. And they can grow on as they graduate from high school, and you see these kids doing well. It just makes you realize, life is good.
Yeah, it's like the kids' lives can't get better without the parents, and the parents' lives aren't going to get better without the support of the staff, so
right.
they can deal with the areas that they're not familiar with, and then the staff needs to be able to celebrate those wins, and without the other two, they can't have it.
They can't. It's all together, right?
So it's pretty amazing.
Let's add to this. We have caseworkers involved here too. If you look at our logo, and I was going to bring a copy of it, it's two hands holding blocks. And this is how we symbolize it, is those blocks are anybody who has anything to do with our kids. That could be parents, but it could be teachers, and it could be caseworkers. Caseworkers have bad days some days. And so we are there for anyone who's involved with our kid. And not to be critical, but to say, hey, how can we help you? How can we help you with your job so that we can all help this kid?
Well, and I think that's a message that we have to make sure we don't lose in the story, because this is the 17th time I've interviewed somebody, and every time it's all about helping.
Really?
And the thing is, nobody can really get what they're out of or what they're after and what they're doing if they're not able to help. And I've always said it, I wrote it in my book, that one of the greatest gifts we can give is allowing somebody to help us, or asking someone to help.
Help, in other words, help us.
Right.
Yes.
We have a tendency to say we're good, thanks. And yet what helps us create great connections as human beings and create trust and love in our relationships has to do with how vulnerable we're willing to be with people, so that we can say, I need help, and then let someone help us. And that's how we know we can trust them. If we don't do that, we miss.
That certainly was true with Building Blocks, is because the staff that work for me, they have all of these skills that I don't have, and there's no way I would have been able to form an agency like this without God and all the people that He sent to me that have been able to help and make this such a success over these years.
So can you tell me about a time where maybe things weren't going as well? You had a challenge in front of you, and you and or your staff had to think back on, all right, these are the values that we built this organization on. We're gonna trust in them to help us get through.
Well, the major value is God that I have, because God has had to come through and fix things so often. The one that just comes to my mind right now is the time when my husband and I were leaving for Europe in 2 hours. 2 hours. And I get this phone call from my program manager, Jackie, we have no money to pay staff. Even though we had billed out a lot of money, it was not coming in. And so we had no money in the bank to pay for this. And God provided. I just called the bank and called one of our board of directors was working at that bank. And I said, we have no money. And within 15 minutes, she called me back and she said, the problem is solved. Go to Europe. She had put enough money in our checkbook to make payroll.
Amazing.
The bank, and it was Pinnacle Bank and O'Neill that did that. And it's, again, what you were saying is helping people, understanding our mission, understanding our value. And I went to Europe, not worrying about it.
Well, and so, for you it was, it's easier, and I'm just trying to recap so you can tell me if I get this wrong. You have a problem that you can't solve, and neither can your staff right now. And so it's not easy to go to a bank and say, we have no money, but the belief in the mission, the belief in the values that you had in what you're doing.
The people understood us and believed us, yes.
Allowed you to be vulnerable to the bank, and there came the trust where they said, we know you're here to help people. We also believe that the money's coming, and so we're going to help you. And so that's a great story.
We have lots of them.
I can imagine.
It isn't just always perfect, but God has just provided in so many, many ways, and He continues to do that. That's what we have to keep trusting, to know that He's going to be there for us.
I couldn't agree more. So how can people help Building Blocks here in Nebraska?
The first thing is we need foster homes that are willing to take in a child and make a difference in that child's life. We call ourselves a family of families. In other words, Building Blocks see just the staff as a family, but as we bring in our foster parents, they become part of this bigger family that we're helping each other but we really, really, really need homes or parents. They can be single parents. People say, well, I'm single, I can't do this. We have several parents who are single moms or single dads and take in foster kids. And we just knowing that they can make a difference, just even respite. I talked to a lady who just lives down the street from me, and she said, Jackie, you got to come because Johnny's coming this weekend. And he was at my house a couple years ago, and I remember him. He was using all of the worst language you can imagine. He was calling me all these bad names, and now he wants to come and stay with me because she had touched that little boy's life so much that he wanted to come back several years later and spend a weekend or a week with them. And so even in respite, we're making a difference in people's lives every day. So we need foster homes first. And secondly, I guess that's just the biggest thing right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so what is the need in just in the state of Nebraska or the 42 counties that you cover right now? How many children today are not, are you unable to find homes?
Oh, I forgot to ask and Christy and the people doing our placement how many it was, but I know several times there could be 20, 30 homes needed in
So
a
I
given
think we
week.
turned down like 75 to 80% of the kids we get.
Oh,
Something
wow.
like that.
75 to 80%. Good nose.
All right.
Something like that.
Wow, that's a big number. So there's a lot of need out there. And how do you think this works out for the parents in terms of, is it all about helping the children, or do you think the parents come out of this, with a net positive effect as well?
Oh, wow. Parents have told me that this has just meant so much in their lives of being able to make a difference in knowing that just by being, it's not about being smart, it's not about all that, it's just being present with these children on a daily basis and giving them things that they've never had. Not because their parents were bad, because no one does. I mean, yes, they may have been in an abusive situation, but they weren't bad people. They just maybe didn't know how to be a parent. A lot of kids grow up in not knowing how to be parents. And so putting them in a foster home where they can learn and grow, it just made a huge difference with folk. There's a lady in Page, I think she had over 100 kids in her life, and she's 100 different children had been in.
That's a small town.
Yeah, Page. Page isn't very big. Yes, right. And she had 100 kids.
No, I mean 100 kids is a small town.
Oh,
she raised a small town.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
They say it takes a village to raise a kid, but
she had her own village. Yes.
That's amazing. So, how do people get in touch with you, or if they want to contact?
They can look up Building Blocks for Kids. Look up our website, and all of the information's there with all our staff and where they're located. And they can call 800-689-0945, which is the home office in O'Neill. And locally here, right here in Sioux City, we can 402, call Tanya, 851-1097. So, but we have an office, foster care office in South Sioux City, Norfolk, O'Neill. Those are the main offices, but we cover, like I said, 42 counties. And we're looking at putting another office maybe in the future in Grand Island, because we're reaching out down there. But there's a huge need, Tom, for foster parents. Give us a call, and if we can help them make a difference in somebody's life.
Well, so you heard it here. It's not just about helping the children, but this also creates a lot of value for parents. So parents, if you're looking for something to make an amazing impact on your life, this is a great way to connect as well with Building Blocks. Anything you want to leave us with before we close, Jackie? Feeling
safe. I think that is the underlying thing, is that everybody feels safe, that staff feels safe, kids feel safe, parents feel safe in what they're doing. So we give them lots of training on trauma and lots of training on what to do, because these kids have a damaged brain when they come. You can't be taken from your home once without affecting you. And so what we do is to give our parents all of the training so that they can actually make a difference, because it's not just about, I was a parent. No, these kids need to be parented in a different way. And we teach them how to do that so they feel safe parenting. It's not just, here's a kid, which happened to us when we were parents in Montana. By the way, I never told you that story. I'm going to add this here.
Okay.
They asked my husband and I to be foster parents because we were Lutheran, and so was the kid. Therefore, that was the qualifications. We don't do that. We actually give them a lot of training to make sure that they feel safe and comfortable taking this kid in and knowing what to do with this child so they can make a difference.
So there's more, it's not just about placing in the numbers, is what you're saying, and the quality of the relationship, and helping the parents foster a great relationship with the children is a part of it.
Is a part of building that relationship through training and how to do that. And that's not easy, but we can help them. We're there 24/7 to helping foster parents make a difference.
Well, I appreciate your time today, Jackie.
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, I love hearing your stories, and thanks for taking the time. And again, everyone, if you want to look at buildingblocksforchildren.com.
Building Blocks for Kids.
Oh, sorry, buildingblocksforkids.com.
Wait a minute, buildingblocksforkids.org.
.org. Buildingblocksforkids.org. I just want to make sure I say it Right.
GoLinkBlacksburgKids.org.
Okay. Well, thank you again, and
This has been
appreciate
fun.
your time.
This has been fun.
Yeah, same for me. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you at the next episode.